Nobody expected the moment to go down like this. One second, it was supposed to be a normal pregame segment, and the next, Shedeur Sanders and Rex Ryan were clashing live on national television in a way that had every single NFL fan hitting replay like their life depended on it. It wasn't just tension, it was months of pressure, criticism, and quiet frustration finally snapping in real time. And the crazy part? It all happened right when Shedeur needed calm the most. This was the week he finally got what he'd been asking for since training camp. His first real start. His first week taking all the first team reps. His first game with an actual game plan built around his strengths instead of being tossed into chaos like a rookie thrown into a burning house without a helmet. This should have been the moment the entire organization rallied behind him. Instead, he walked into it with a well-known former coach blasting him on every platform like it was personal. For weeks, Rex Ryan wasn't just critiquing Shedeur, he was practically campaigning against him, looking for any slip-up to prove he wasn't ready, wasn't mature enough, wasn't capable. And when the lights turned on and Shedeur's face appeared on that ESPN panel, he wasn't about to sit there and let someone who had never taken a snap alongside him decide the narrative. The interview began with analysts offering their thoughts, but the tone shifted immediately when one analyst, clearly fed up with the nonsense swirling around Cleveland, took a direct shot at the dysfunction happening behind closed doors. He said exactly what so many insiders have been whispering all season. Shedeur Sanders wasn't just unprepared in Baltimore. He was set up in a way no rookie should ever be. Thrown in mid-game, no cadence work with the O-line, no chemistry with the receivers. And on top of that, the team already fractured between the coaching staff and the front office. "This is a divided house," he said. "And I don't know what's going on, but they're not setting this kid up to succeed." And then he turned to Rex Ryan and delivered the line that instantly blew up NFL Twitter. "Respectfully, I don't give a damn." On the moment he said it, you could feel the temperature shift. That wasn't analysis. That was someone calling out the entire Cleveland operation and telling Rex point blank that his narrative didn't match reality. He didn't stop there either. He said no competent team sends a rookie quarterback into an NFL game without rehearsing snaps, cadence, or timing with the offensive line. He said there's no universe where that's accidental. And when he hinted, very clearly, that something deliberate might have happened in Baltimore, Rex nearly jumped out of his seat to shut it down. But it was too late. The bomb had already exploded. And suddenly, everyone realized what was really at stake for Shedeur this weekend. Because this Raiders game is bigger than a normal debut. If Shedeur wins, he becomes the guy. Period. There's no going back to Dylan Gabriel, while your rookie quarterback just beat a struggling team with confidence and composure. That's how the league works. Quarterbacks don't lose their job after a good performance. Not in week one. Not ever. But if he fails, even slightly, it gives critics like Rex the golden ticket they've been waiting for. They'll say he wasn't ready. They'll say the moment was too big. And they'll say the Browns should move on. And the sick twist? All of this pressure sits on a kid who got tossed into his first game unprepared because the organization didn't do its job. Cleveland has had 17 quarterbacks make their first start since returning in '99. All 17 lost. Every single one. A streak that's not just embarrassing, it's historically dysfunctional. So when the analyst said, "That's not a quarterback issue, that's an organization failing its players for decades," he wasn't lying. He was staring straight at the camera and highlighting a truth nobody else wanted to say out loud. Another analyst stepped in with some balance, pointing out the parts of Shedeur's game that real evaluators know are legit. The arm strength, the toughness, the ability to read defenses, how he bounces back after hits like nothing happened. He talked about Shedeur being in the spotlight since he was 14 and still managing to stay composed. It was the first piece of actual fair analysis Shedeur had gotten all week. But Rex? Rex couldn't leave it alone. He had to challenge it, had to question the hype, had to push the ambiguity that maybe Shedeur wasn't built for the big moment. And that's when the temperature rose again, because analysts were tired of watching Rex drag a rookie who's been fighting uphill every single week. Then the conversation shifted to whether Shedeur Sanders should show up to support his son. And what should have been a simple parenting moment somehow turned into another battlefield. Shedeur explained the burden he carries, how anytime he shows up, cameras follow. How his presence might be a distraction even when he doesn't want it to be. How he wants to be there for his son, but doesn't want to make the night about himself. A normal father's dilemma. But Rex and others took that moment and tried spinning it into another negative, suggesting Dayon was part of the problem. That's when the panel shut him down again, reminding Rex that Dayon has been respectful, quiet, and almost invisible this season compared to how much he could have spoken out. They said the man has done everything right. And that's when it got real. Because this isn't just about Shedeur's confidence or talent. This is about how differently he's been treated. How some people seem to be rooting for him to fail. How others are fighting to protect him from narratives built on shaky foundations. And through it all, Shedeur himself stayed calm. He stood his ground, corrected misinformation without raising his voice. Made it clear that he knows his preparation, he knows his ability, and he knows he's the guy, even if people like Rex hate hearing it. That confidence, that scares critics more than anything, because it means Shedeur isn't waiting for approval. He isn't trying to fit into someone else's script. He knows who he is, and that makes certain media figures uncomfortable, especially the ones who prefer quarterbacks who smile, nod, and swallow every narrative thrown at them. The segment reached a dangerous edge when they started discussing how Shedeur looked so unprepared in the Baltimore game. That's when the analyst said loudly, "Look at the tape. Look at the cadence issues. Look at the miscommunication. That's not a player problem. That's a preparation problem." And then he repeated the same phrase that set the entire internet ablaze. "And I don't think it was an accident." And as Rex tried to talk over him, the analyst wouldn't budge. The moment he said that, the air in the studio practically cracked. Nobody expected someone on live television to say the quiet part out loud, but that analyst didn't flinch. He doubled down, laying out every detail that proved Shedeur wasn't the problem in Baltimore. He pointed to the offensive linemen who later admitted they didn't even know Shedeur's cadence because they hadn't practiced with him. He highlighted the timing issues that only happen when a quarterback hasn't taken a single meaningful rep. He reminded everyone that Shedeur got dropped into that game cold, with no warning, no rhythm, and no support. And when you combine all that, you get a rookie who looks overwhelmed not because he lacks talent, but because the people around him didn't do their job. That's not bad luck. That's not unfortunate timing. That's structural failure. And Rex had no answer for that. He tried to interrupt, tried to redirect, tried to spin the discussion back to Shedeur's readiness, but the panel wasn't letting him hide behind cliches and lazy criticism anymore. They wanted accountability. They wanted truth. And it was clear Rex wasn't ready for that kind of heat. The conversation shifted again when someone brought up comparisons to Tom Brady's early career. Not in the sense that Shedeur is about to become the GOAT, but as a reminder that sometimes the moment chooses the player, not the other way around. Brady wasn't supposed to succeed when he got thrown in after Bledsoe's injury. He wasn't supposed to be ready, but the Patriots prepared him anyway, put him in a system built for him, protected him, coached him, and trusted him. And that's the difference. Talent means nothing if the people in charge don't know how to develop it. The Browns have a rare chance to avoid repeating decades of failure, but only if they stop sabotaging their own quarterback room. Then came one of the most chilling moments of the entire segment, the theft story. When an analyst reminded everyone that the night before Shedeur's chaotic debut, thieves broke into his home and stole over $200,000 worth of property. And what did he do? He didn't whine. He didn't complain. He didn't make excuses. He walked into the facility the next day, strapped on his pads, and prepared to fight for a comeback against one of the toughest defenses in the league. That's not softness. That's not immaturity. That's elite focus. The kind of mental strength NFL teams pray for in their quarterbacks. And yet, despite all that, Rex and others question whether he has the mental toughness to handle the pressure. The panel wasn't having it. Not anymore. They pointed out the irony. A kid showing more composure in 1 week than some NFL veterans show in their entire careers. Yet certain voices keep trying to paint him as fragile. The truth is, Shedeur's confidence threatens them. When he said this week, "I know I'm the guy," I'd be doing a disservice to myself if I didn't believe that. He wasn't being arrogant. He was stating a fact. Franchise quarterbacks don't walk around unsure of themselves. They know who they are long before the world does. And hearing that level of conviction from a 21-year-old clearly made a few older analysts uncomfortable. But Shedeur didn't say it for them. He said it because it's real. And because he needed to hear himself say it heading into the biggest game of his life. What makes this moment even more intense is that, for the first time since he arrived in the NFL, the Browns coaching staff is finally building the game plan around him. Quick reads, ball-out timing, rollouts he used at Colorado, middle field crossers he throws better than anyone in the building, plays that fit his pace instead of forcing him into a system designed for someone else. This is what should have been happening since training camp. Instead, it's happening now, with the entire football world watching, judging, and waiting to see if the kid drowns or swims. And that's exactly why the debate on ESPN erupted. Two sides, two narratives, both fighting to prove they're right. On one side, the people who believe Shedeur has been done dirty by a broken franchise. They've seen the miscommunication, they've seen the lack of reps, they've seen the hesitation from coaches who maybe never wanted him as their quarterback in the first place. They're not letting the media scapegoat a rookie for organizational chaos. On the other side, critics like Rex who refuse to acknowledge context and prefer the simpler story, he's not ready. That's the narrative they want to stick to because it's easier. It requires no research, no nuance, no accountability. And when the panel refused to let that narrative dominate, Rex got exposed. The segment didn't end peacefully. Nobody agreed to disagree. The tension never cooled. Even as the show wrapped, you could see it on their faces. This wasn't just sports talk, it was frustration boiling over. It was advocates for a young quarterback refusing to let him be buried by lazy analysis and outdated thinking. It was Rex Ryan realizing people were finally pushing back against his one-sided commentary. But the real truth, all of this is just the prelude. Because everything, every argument, every accusation, every narrative, comes down to what happens when Shedeur walks onto that field in Las Vegas. If he plays well, the people who've defended him will say this was always about giving him a fair shot. They'll say the game plan mattered. They'll say preparation mattered. They'll say he just needed what every rookie quarterback needs: support, structure, and repetition. But if he struggles, even for a quarter, even for a few drives, critics like Rex will be waiting to pounce. They'll ignore context, ignore preparation, ignore the chaos he inherited. They'll say they were right all along. That's how media works. They bend moments into narratives that benefit them. That's why this interview mattered so much. It exposed those agendas in real time. It showed who was analyzing football and who was pushing a storyline. And it made one thing crystal clear. Shedeur Sanders isn't just fighting defensive lines or blitz packages. He's fighting the weight of a franchise's failures. He's fighting narratives built before he took a single snap. He's fighting analysts who decided his ceiling before they watched him play. And yet here he is, walking into the biggest game of his life with calm, confidence, preparation, and a world filled with doubters who can't wait to see which version of him steps onto that field. Sunday isn't just a game, it's a verdict. On the Browns' development system, on the critics who shaped the narrative, on the believers who refused to back down, on everyone who has pushed, doubted, defended, or dismissed him. And when that ball kicks off in Las Vegas, millions will be watching, not just to see how Shedeur plays, but to see who was right all along. The people calling out the organization's failures, or the ones blaming the quarterback for a mess he didn't create. One thing is certain. After what just happened with Rex Ryan on live television, this story just crossed a line. And no matter what happens Sunday, the truth is finally out there. This is bigger than football. This is about respect, about fairness, about a young quarterback demanding the chance he should have always had. And now, finally, he gets to show the world exactly why he never stopped believing he's the guy. Sunday is going to be chaos. Sunday is going to be emotional. Sunday is going to decide the narrative. And after everything that's been said, everything that's been exposed, and everything that's been fought over, the only thing left is the game. And the entire football world is watching.